The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's a Wednesday, and we missed Monday due to that epic snowstorm that we had.
That nuisance snow.
And we have so much to talk about. We're going to get right to it because we got some stuff we want to say for the end of the show.
That we have some definite comments on. Well, you know, the first thing I want to address is the falsehoods that have been told at a previous city council meeting, which have been revealed now. If you remember correctly, Ken Fiola was trying to get his economic development TIF package put through with blanks. The whole process was left blank. Oh no, that's a stock form and we fill in the blanks afterwards for market rate housing. Okay? And he said he cannot reveal the names of the developers at this time. Well, amazingly enough, when you do a little bit of work and a little bit of digging, you find out that, guess what? You're cool. You're all set. You don't have a problem because the information's available at the Registry of Deeds. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Talk about a falsehood. Hey, Mr. Fiola, when you're going to say you can't say, why don't you clean up your own act and make sure that nobody else can find it just by opening up a web browser?
Yeah, and of course, Fall River, the Fall River Herald News actually had an article about it. So.
Right, and you know,
and it's like, you know, they caught up with us after you researched on it, but look, it's more of the same, and you know, this only shows that, and what is one of the mills going to be used for? Market rate housing.
You think?
A specialist. This company is a specialist in converting and creating market rate housing, and just what we need, more market rate housing in a city that, you know, oh, here we go with the 80-20 rule, 80-20, and then the only 20% that's going to be occupied will be the low income, and then ultimately they'll go back for a waiver because they can't pay, and it's going to be welfare housing. Just what we need. And the other thing is, who is going to buy, who that can afford market rate housing is going to move to Fall River when they have the ability, economic ability to live elsewhere? Well, I guess it was proven again because they can't even get rid of a house. They tried to give a house away, basically, and created all kinds of loans and to make it easy peasy to buy a house for a veteran. And guess what? Nobody even tried to get the house. They had to get an extension because, look, like I said, if you can afford market rate housing, why would you live in Fall River with the crime? Oh, that's right, we could walk down Purchase Street and look at the new lights, but that's another subject. But the fact is, look, this is ridiculous. This is not the way to fix the city. All they know how to do is say market rate housing and bring more people into this city that have no income. And we look, and which way are we going? Are we lying?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're lying, I guess. I guess that we went from the second lowest household income to the first lowest because we're bringing in high income people, right? Because it's an average. So I don't know. And I guess now we might have the highest number of people living below the poverty line. We were second in that, but you know, here we go again. Market rate housing, bring more.
Yeah, and you know, we already know that market rate housing doesn't work. We know this, okay? The state has said it, the federal government has said it, yet they keep going. If you build it, they will come. They're not going to come because there's no money. So enough of the falsehoods, enough of the bull. Let's move away from this crap.
And who said if you tell their theory is if you tell a lie enough, people will begin to believe it. And who said that first? Our friend Goebbels.
Yep, that's right.
So there's the Fall River MO. Keep lying. Keep
And
doing
people will
things,
eventually
and
believe it.
People will eventually believe you, because if you tell it enough, they'll go, they got to be right.
Exactly, exactly. And what's very interesting is, the mayor's new plan for neighborhood revitalization is Purchase Place, Purchase Street. Its new nickname is Purchase Place. So, and again, who's going to benefit? The political campaign contributors. Okay, there are 2 buildings in this area that are owned by John Brandt and David Hebert, strong political campaign contributors. And they're going to be the ones that benefit from the property value increase. Now, when I spoke about how they came up with this to various individuals, I was told very clearly that this area was designed to go from Bedford to Cherry, the street to nowhere, okay, and Rock to North Main. And the number of low-income based apartments, in other words, people who live in there that are in low-income situations, is tremendous. And it meets the requirements under HUD. But the thing that I had to laugh at was the fact that they said it was designed. Do you know what designed means? That means,
Gerrymandering.
they carved it out. They gerrymandered it. And just so that 2 political hacks, well, actually, it's more like 3, because one of the buildings is also owned by another political hack. And they made this area just so that these buildings can increase in value. Because when you think about Purchase Street, there's not a whole heck of a lot of residential apartments there.
Well, if you go up above Franklin, you begin. But I mean, let's see how my memory serves me on Purchase Street from Bedford. You go up. You used to have Old Journal there. It's not there anymore.
Right.
But you've got that building, which is basically a office kind of building. And across the street, you actually have a bank parking lot for the bank on the corner. I believe it's Mechanics Bank.
Correct.
There's a parking lot. Then after you go to after you get by that building on the corner, you've got another small parking lot for Bay Coast Bank. And then you have another parking lot on that side of the street, on the west side of the street. Then across the street, you have a building with, it's really not a business. And then you get to the mayor's favorite coffee shop, the Pink Bean.
And that's because he lives above it.
And and he lives above it, so that will really benefit from this. And then you go up a little farther, and you got another parking lot on the west side, and on the east side, you've got the St. James. Is it St. James?
St. James now, yep.
St. James, yeah. It used to be the Down Under. And then after that, you begin. There's a law office on the corner, another parking lot, and then you begin the residential.
Correct.
So really, there's not anything there. The street doesn't go anywhere. So rather than take our first step in revitalization in an area that has multiple businesses like Pleasant Street, but that's in the Flint, and we know the Flint doesn't get anything. So, and that was for Carlos's benefit, by the way, or South Main, where there are multiple businesses. No, we picked Purchase, and I wonder why we picked Purchase Street. Well, we already know why we picked Purchase Street, because it's the people who are going to... And then the thing that got me about this article in the Herald News is, again, the giant political spins. Isn't it amazing that when we talk about things in New Bedford that our pals don't want, they go, I don't want to hear it, like New Bedford doesn't use purple bags. Well, they don't want to hear that. That part of New Bedford they don't want to hear. But if New Bedford does something that they want to do, hey, New Bedford's doing it, so we pointed to New Bedford doing it. Said the closest community that has followed this approach is downtown New Bedford. Downtown, not a side street, by the way. Okay, let's highlight that word. That should have been in giant bull-faced, triple-sized print by the Herald News. Downtown. Purchase Street is the street to nowhere. It goes from Bedford to Cherry, and that's it. I mean, who goes to, I mean, although somebody said they got good burgers and fries at the thing, but
Well, you know, the interesting thing is a city council is going to benefit from this too because he owns property on Purchase Street.
yeah, well, so let's continue this sentence here. He said the closest community follows downtown New Bedford with streetscape projects. They've done it in the last decade in downtown Providence. Downtown Providence. So far, I got 2 places that are close that have tried this, and it's both in their downtown area. So it's, Carlos just entered our studio. Carlos, I was just asking why they didn't revitalize places with businesses on them like Pleasant Street or South Main Street. But again, here we go. Like I said, it says here, okay.
That's because there's no political hacks.
They are so excited about this project. We're investing money. But we want them to invest money too. Oh, every single business, they're so excited. And residents attended, except they're so excited, really. Well, full antique street lights and cobblestone do not draw people. Okay, I hate to tell you this. And if you put your thinking caps on, people, and read this, the 2 cities they referred to are demographically more wealthy than we are, although New Bedford's fairly close, but they're nowhere near. The bottom, there's a few people between us and New Bedford, but they did it to their downtown area, not a side street. They did it to the downtown area. So the question has to be asked, why was it done? Or more appropriately, who was it done for?
Exactly, and we've gone through this before. We did this with Commonwealth Landing under Flanagan, and I don't know how many other mayors have done the same thing. Because the Community Development Block Grant, which should not be politicized, is the most political situation running in Fall River, and it is classified as the mayor's checkbook. And this mayor has made sure that he writes those checks. Okay. So, and you have to laugh. We had a fire yesterday at 169 County Street in Fall River, and it was on the 3rd floor. They were trying to figure out what caused it. People were saying it was electrical, it was this, that, the other thing. But this property and this property owner have numerous code violations. Numerous, like most places in Fall River that are owned by a lot of absentee landlords that don't take any pride in their business. Because when you are an absentee landlord, it is a business. And I'm really at the point now where, and I've been very averse to doing something along this line, but I'm really beginning to believe that if it is not an owner-occupied building, an owner-occupied residence, and it's got apartments, that we should start converting those properties from residential tax rates to commercial. Because maybe if they started paying taxes like they would businesses, they would turn around and take the responsibility. But then again, you do have a small portion which are just slumlords.
Well, I think that's the problem. The problem is that I don't think it's the majority. I know, actually, I was discussing something with a person who was a former Fall River resident who told me he was born and brought up in Fall River. Actually born and brought up in the Flint on Pittman Street.
Oh, he's another troublemaker.
Another troublemaker from the Flint. But he did well. He went to college and he got an education, and now he's got a job, and a good job, and he moved to Somerset. He said, I can't live in the city anymore. He said, I've got children. I can't send my children to schools where people get stabbed and there's all kinds of drugs. And he said, so he moved to Somerset because he said, look, Fall River's crazy, but I still own a lot of property. He maintains his property. But I have to say that, I know people who live out, who used to live in Fall River and have moved out and still maintain, income property here. And, they are, unfortunately, some of them are, they are basically, they don't care. But I think if you do a little bit deeper research and find not the Boston companies that come down and buy properties, they normally leave they basically don't give two craps about it, because I dealt with a lot of those people when I was on the job with code violations. But most people who used to live in Fall River and have property, they feel a connection, they try to maintain their property. But then again, look at who they've got to rent to now. The fact is that if you look at the owner-occupied properties, for the most part, a lot of them have relatives living in them. A lot of them are, Portuguese. The Portuguese culture is notorious that you buy a three-decker, you put your brother, your sister, your cousin, and everybody in the three-decker. And they maintain the three-deckers. But some of these absentee landlords who live out of town are making every effort to maintain their properties. And they end up with, they have to rent. And then ultimately they end up with, since nobody really that can afford, the rents outside of Fall River will ever come to Fall River, and they're forced to put in, people on assistance. And these people, I've heard horror stories how they destroy the property. So it's a difficult situation. But I think that, look, I don't care if it's an owner-occupied or an absentee landlord. Code violations, and I will tell you, are very difficult. I know that, as being part of that process, we took people to court, and they can tie you up, unfortunately, for years in court. There has to be a change in the way we can basically put a padlock on these properties if there's a problem. If they continue with these violations, all we have to do is go back to the King Philip Mill. I wrote that mill up 20 years ago, and it's still standing, and it's still violating. And they violated it every single time we went there. There was a violation fundamentally, and it was written up every time. And what happens? So, this is a problem, and they had a fire there, and it seems it's the only way we ever get a property, we can ever shut a property down is when they burn it down.
And and that's a sad situation. And real quickly to digress a bit, I'm sorry for our viewers who are just getting us online now and on the air live. It was broadcasting a rebroadcast of last Friday's show because it was still locked in the system. And while I was off the chip, I made sure that we got that corrected, and I want to thank our technical people here in studio. So please be sure to watch the entire show at 5 o'clock this afternoon.
You missed a lot of good dialogue here, believe me.
And another, it happens. It's live TV. This happens.
It's live TV. Yeah, but look, hey.
What are we going to do about it?
That's why they put erasers on pencils, right?
That's it. And, the last thing before I get into the city council meeting, which we're only going to have 10 minutes for if I don't get this out fast, is yesterday the mayor announced that our Fall River Police Department will carry Narcan. And, while that's a very controversial subject, and I'm not going to get into it because I have an entire diatribe that I plan on doing as a commentary, I find it funny that our police department is now authorized to administer Narcan, but they are not authorized to administer somebody who suffers an allergic reaction to a bee sting or peanuts when they're holding the EpiPen in their hand and they're on the floor dying. So
yeah, well, let's something, CJ. I think this kind of stuff, the whole opiate thing, we've got to do a special program on this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't even want to discuss because you know my feelings about this stuff because it's
Darwinism at its best.
It's a total waste of money and time. So let's get to the city council meeting.
Well,
because I really got something. I'm really angry about that.
Well, we got 11 minutes, so you're ready to go. Now, here's the kicker. Last night, Kathy Ann Viveris was brought down to speak on behalf of the mayor to speak on pilot programs. Now, pilot stands for payment in lieu of taxes. And this has been going on now for 3 mayors. And it's amazing.
Didn't they come up with another acronym?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to get into that in one second. Okay. So payment in lieu of taxes is when a nonprofit, which we have tons of in Fall River, but the city administrator had no clue how many and no clue how much the property values were worth or how much in tax revenue we would generate.
She just didn't want to know. She
right.
pulled the noons.
Yeah, she pulled the noons, And the funny part about it was she says, all I can say is with certainty is that it's huge. Huge. Very huge. So huge. So how do we classify huge?
Huge.
But she goes, But, that's voluntary. They don't have to do it. No, I understand they don't have to do it. Okay? And so the mayor, with his creative way of doing business, is looking for what they call a SILOT. It's a new, another code name, big on code names, which is services in lieu of taxes.
Oh.
Like the neighborhoods do with cleaning neighborhoods.
I've got to come up with some. I've got to come up with.
You got to come up with something better, But, it's very interesting because they compared it to the neighborhood groups cleaning up their neighborhood. And, the problem I have with that is...
I've got it.
Okay, give it to us.
Special incentive list for tax breaks.
There you go.
And then I'm going to add a little to that.
Yeah.
We have to.
But,
for your high-paid friends.
Yeah, and the funny part about it was that, don't tell me they're going to do a service in lieu of taxes like a street cleanup. I want to know the dollar figure that's going to save the city. And, I'm so tired of hearing in kind. Give me a definition of what your in kind is. We get that all the time for the Great Feast of the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
It's in kind. We don't bill them for anything. That's baloney.
I'm going on record right now. You can take your in lieu of and shove it where the sun doesn't shine.
Put it in your lieu.
Because that does not help the residential taxpayers of the city of Fall River. Because I'm going to tell you something. I want you to divulge what the salary of the board of directors of Charlton Memorial is. I know they all make six figures, and some of them pretty good six-figure salaries for being on a board that basically meets, maybe once a month or once every 2 or 3 months, and they all live out of town. Nonprofit, my butt. Nonprofit spent almost $2 million upgrading their lobby. I wish I had a nonprofit that I could spend $2 million upgrading my lobby. The nonprofit insulates them from major lawsuits for malpractice. That's why they're a nonprofit. And I'm going to give you the $64 million question. Will a police officer does a police officer have less chance of dying if he has a major incident inside a hospital? The answer to that is no. Does a firefighter have less chance of dying in a fire in Charlton? The answer to that is no. The fact is, these people get fire and police protection, and they don't give us a dime. They don't give us a damn dime toward maintaining those public safety forces. That is bull. And I don't want to hear about, Harvard gets endowments. Look, Charlton makes plenty of money. If they can pay their board of directors 6 figures, and find out what their CEO makes. I know, I was a personal friend of Rick Dreyer, who was a former CEO of Charlton, and I know he made a pretty fat paycheck.
Wait.
And, because this is absolutely ridiculous. And then when I got a city councilor saying, they gave us $15,000 for a park. Who cares? $15,000 is chump change. They're going to deduct it in their income tax.
They don't pay income tax.
No, but I'm saying, it's a deduction.
Right.
When they look at their operating expenses. And the fact is that it's bull. $15,000 for a park? Well, it's one park. That wasn't $15,000 toward the city.
Or every
I don't
park.
want that. We have volunteer groups like Angels Anonymous and the Flint Neighborhood Associations and the South End Neighborhood Associations. They all have park cleanups. They all have street cleanups. I don't need a multi-million-dollar medical business, and you tell me they're not making a ton of money. Okay?
Well, according to them, reimbursements are down, and they provide free care. But the thing that really
that's
gets
the oldest crap in the
I
world.
know. You and I both know that.
Well, I'll tell you what. Maybe it's time for that board of directors to take a pay cut.
Hey, maybe if they're hurting that badly.
When was the last time the board of directors took a pay cut at Charlton? You know,
I agree.
this is, look, nonprofits have to contribute. They're not paying property taxes. So you look at, you come up with a viable figure. Like, it's done in other communities. You know why it isn't done in Fall River? Because the people who are on the board of directors of these nonprofits are the 1%ers of Fall River.
Right.
They're the movers and the shakers, the money men. They're the people that sit there and rake in the coin while you're scratching, trying to pay another increase in your tax bill, another increase in your health care, and all the others, and going to the market and paying more for your food. And you're working in a city that has the highest unemployment rate in the state now, again, the lowest income level, and they're telling you they can't afford it. Really? You know, that's absolute baloney. The fact is, the politicians don't have the courage
I agree.
to tell these people to pay a little bit. Not a lot, just a little. Nowhere near what you'd pay in property taxes, but pay a little bit toward the protection and toward the people who are putting their lives on a line every single day. Because you know something? If they put their testicles on the edge of a razor blade, it'd look like a BB rolling down an 8-lane highway.
Well, you know, the thing is that if they don't want to contribute, if they don't want to come up with a payment in lieu of taxes situation, then what we should do is calculate the cost for police and fire services and bill them. Every time a police car has to go there, bill them. Every time a fire engine has to go there, bill them. Because, you know, this is what we're at. We're providing services to these nonprofits. And, you know, this wasn't the only one brought up at the city council meeting. The other one was People Incorporated. People Incorporated who bailed the city out. And this is why Linda Pereira had to jump in and, oh, People Incorporated is wonderful, and they can barely meet ends meet, and every dime they get goes towards, you know, providing services. That's baloney, because their executives are making money. They're getting high salaries. And People Incorporated bailed the city out because the city was running an illegal daycare center. Illegal daycare center.
There's never consequences.
No, we don't have any consequences in Fall River. Okay?
Well, how about this? How about this? In kind. Why doesn't Charlton Memorial provide free health care for every city employee for a designated period during the year?
Yeah.
Until they, see if that'll fly. You watch how quickly.
We actually tried that.
Yeah.
Where they were going to pick up services from the Department of Health.
Yeah.
And guess what? That died under Flanagan.
Yeah.
That died under Flanagan.
It'll die as soon as they start looking at their books.
Exactly.
They love the money, and we know that healthcare is a major expense. But look, it's about the 1%ers again. You want to get angry? Get angry. Think about Purchase Street and the money being dumped there. Think about the fact that Charlton, again, they figured out a way to have them not pay.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. They figured out a way to have them not pay.
And when City Councilor Cliff Pont turns around and says, we've got to be careful about alienating these nonprofits. They just gave us $15,000 for a park. Okay, your job.
I apologize. I said 15. So.
15. That's what it is. 15,000.
I thought you said 50.
No, $15,000 for a park. Mr. Ponte, you do not represent Charlton Memorial Hospital. You represent the people of Fall River.
Well, you may be, Mr. Ponte, you may be alienating the people of Fall River.
Exactly.
Because, you know something, $15,000 is chump change, and what did they do with that park with the $15,000? The city gave out almost $1 million for parks of our taxpayer money. So now we're going to use that as an excuse for the hospital that we can't ask them to pay their fair share. And like I said, bottom line, can one of our public safety people, is it any safer for them when they respond to a call? No. And the problem is they should pay. They pay in other communities, and this community's a hell of a lot poorer than Cambridge.
That's for sure. And remember, people, especially on the city council, we don't attack you personally. We just say our opinion. Don't take it personal. You're going to be hurting for a long time.
And if you do, get over it.
Have a great day. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Remember, watch us again at 5.
The views and opinions expressed.
We're having nothing but difficulty today.